This is Joe Castello's WFO Radio Ignition. Covering everything that has wheels, an engine, and a driver.
The reason I race is to get the chicks. You know what I mean?
NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, sports cars, and NHRA drag racing.
Hey guys, just want to let you know, WFO rocks.
WFO Radio is total motorsports.
It's just so cool.
Fasten your seatbelts, fire up the ignition, and drop the hammer.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, here's your host, Joe Castello.
What's up, WFO Radio listeners? Joe Castello back. This is Ignition and the Vegas Tailgate Party Pick Show. Yeah, it's late in the week, and Giovanni in Miami and I decided we're going to do something for the Ignition audience. And as you know, NHRA Nitro was a little late coming to you. If you're looking for NHRA Nitro, it is in the archive, and it was great. Great stuff with Bo Lane, the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidson winner from out there in Phoenix. Also, Billy Torrance in what was a great heartfelt interview, and you really get to know Billy in that interview. Great stuff. Pro Stock Jeg Coughlin. And we were thrashing to get that show together. As you can imagine, come back from the West Coast to the East Coast, and everybody's traveling and moving and grooving. It was a challenge, but we got it. We put it together, and people are listening. But it's Friday, baby. And so we got to have a little bit of fun. This is kind of an interesting situation, a Friday show, and I have an opportunity to comment on many different things. For instance, we are getting closer to the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. The next race on the NHRA Tour, the Pro Stock Show. I want to talk about the Pro Stock Show. The last time I spoke, I had seen 15 minutes of the Pro Stock Show. Now I have seen all of it. And so I have got some thoughts. Formula One testing ongoing. NASCAR just finished watching the action from out there in Atlanta. And we are going to make picks for Vegas on this show, however long it runs. It won't be, a typical 2-hour WFO, but it is my happy Friday to you, for those of you that Friday actually means something. I know there's a lot of people that work on Saturday, too, and you're just like, Friday means nothing. You know the deal. The end of the work week, whenever it is. Could be, Monday afternoon. If you're at the end of your work cycle, you are happy. And I want you all to be happy. That's the whole point of the WFO Radio podcast. Everybody happy. I wasn't too happy at the end of the NHRA Nitro show. I wasn't upset by any means, but just happy to see other people feeling it and sensing it too. Just the unnecessary negativity is now starting to get a response from me. I'm thinking that the best way to push back is to push back, right? When people are like grumbly, I'm going to just start calling it out, I think. That's my new thing. What do you think? Joe at WFOradio.com. That is exactly right. So, Brad Keselowski wins out there in Atlanta. And there wasn't a whole ton of passing for the lead. There was some battling back in the pack, and the new rules package is brand new. And so it is unfair to judge in its first race because everybody's got to get it sorted out and figured out and all that. Brad K becomes the winningest Penske driver. That is a milestone. That is insanity. And, I keep going back to remembering seeing Brad Keselowski in the Truck Series and thinking immediately, this kid is going to make it. And he did, and he has. And now, not only is he a NASCAR Cup champion and a champion in multiple series, but he is the winningest driver at Penske Racing, which is just insanity. And I say it insanity because it's like, that's an incredible milestone. And you're going to wear the Mark Donohue helmet, and just amazing. And, I love Brad. I think he is a good guy for the sport. Speaking of just pushing back on whatever, he speaks his mind. He tells it like it is. And congratulations to Brad. Now, we're not going to go through the full results. We're not going to do that. We'll do some fantasy results. I'll give you some basic fantasy results, as I did okay. Some other people did great. But the season is just beginning. I really didn't put a whole lot into my team. Second race out. And, I don't want to complain to all you folks, but it is the case. It is just the case. So we got Formula One, we got NHRA, we got NASCAR, but really most of all, it's just Friday. It is Friday. And if you're listening on Saturday or Sunday, you missed out on the big Friday celebration, right? I will give you the top three from the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, which, had a decent crowd. It wasn't packed by any means, but it wasn't. It was more than half, and I would say closer to, I don't know, more than half. I'm not going to put my rep on the line doing a crowd assessment from something I saw on television. It was okay. Brad Keselowski wins the race, led 33 laps. Martin Truex Jr. second, Kurt Busch third. Now I got the results. I might as well give them all to you. Kevin Harvick fourth, Clint Bowyer fifth, Kyle Busch sixth, Eric Jones seventh, Eric Almirola eighth, Chris Buescher ninth, and Daniel Suarez rounding out the top 10. I am not going to give the full results. Harvick led some laps. Kyle Larson led some laps. Joey Logano was just having pit trouble after pit trouble and falling back. Ended up finishing 23rd, which is unfortunate. There was a late race caution. But it was just an interesting race in that this is the new tapered spacer 550 horsepower package. And they did seem to drive pretty interesting when they were all grouped up. Darrell Waltrip made a couple of comments about how much the spoiler has gone up and down and make it taller, make it shorter over the years. And so we're going to have to see whose driving style fits this package. That's what it's going to be about. Whose driving style, a momentum style driver, fits this driving package. Now, also, though, there was an interesting kerfuffle midweek with Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson basically, and I don't have the quotes in front of me, and I don't need it. You probably heard it. Kyle Larson saying something along the line of this, that Hendrick Motorsports plays around with NASCAR at the beginning of the season, but halfway through, they start cheating, and they get it much faster. And the word cheating was used. Now, I didn't hear it. It was said in an interview. I read the text, and I saw it spoken about. And then Kyle Larson, who, there's that at Ganassi, they get their engines and engine assistance from Hendrick, and immediately walked it back. Like, whoa, hey, I didn't mean to use the word cheating, and I apologize to Mr. Hendrick and all of that, and that's not what I meant, and hey, I'm sorry. And here's what I think. Okay, well, number one, we want people to be open and honest, and two, Kyle Larson said what he thought initially, and then realized, oh my gosh, I can't say this, and walked it back immediately. Now, I'm sure he also thought more deeply about it. Like, really? Hendrick Motorsports cheating? Maybe adjusting to the situation, or maybe cheating. Who knows what he really thinks. But this is a perfect example of someone, NASCAR didn't make him walk this back. He walked it back because it's smart business to walk it back. He had no choice to walk it back. You don't call out people that are helping you. Yeah, hey, these people are helping me, but I think that they're cheaters. What? Exactly. But in the end, Kyle Larson, is this going to be detrimental to his career? I don't think so. I think Kyle is, these guys can all say whatever they want for the most part, and people will forget 1 minute later. 1 minute later. And that's that. We saw the M&Ms, Mars, re-upping with Joe Gibbs Racing, which is an interesting stat. They're re-upping with Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle Busch will have a sponsor for the next several years, and rightfully so. They have earned it. I never really felt that Kyle Busch was the right guy for M&Ms, but maybe he is. And I don't really understand the market research side of it, but who buys M&Ms? Number one. Okay, well, people with money. People with money buy M&Ms. Okay. Kids don't have money, right? So everybody assumes that M&Ms are for kids. I think that is an inaccurate assessment. Candy is not for kids. Candy is bad for kids. Candy is for adults. Something you learned later on in life. Who eats candy? Adults. Guys that are zipping into the gas station midday, 3 o'clock, hungry as heck. What are they buying? Right? They're buying beef jerky. They're buying a Snickers. They're buying some peanut and M&Ms to wolf them down and keep on going on a sugar high. That's who buys probably most of this candy, not all a bunch of kids. We're pretty much invested in making sure that the kids don't eat the candy early on. And so maybe Kyle fits right into it. Maybe Kyle fits right into exactly the demographic of the guy who's out there, who's got an attitude, who's grumpy and angry because he's working and it's 5 o'clock and he's heading out to the next job, and that's Kyle. I don't know. I'm just making all that up. But a kind of an interesting piece of news in the world of NASCAR. Honestly, as I get the show together, I'm missing J-Ski. This is a perfect example, like spot where you could just go and check out the headlines without having to watch a bunch of videos with a bunch of commercials and all of that. May you rest in peace, Jayski. May you rest in peace. Interesting. But we're headed to Vegas, and Vegas is the home of Bob Smith, and Bob Smith has sent in the odds, and Bob Smith picked another winner. So Bob is 2 for 2 at the start of the season from what I understand, or maybe it was Tommy. I don't know. I know that Tommy picked first, and I'm a little confused. And honestly, folks, I am so behind. I don't want to, make excuses, but what I did do was go to Phoenix, and we ran into many WFO radio listeners out in Phoenix. Guy and his little boy was wearing a Jegs hat, and they were like, we listen to WFO every week. I was awesome. My heart was warmed. But instead of coming home immediately on Monday morning, I went down to visit some family members in Marana, right? Which is almost to Tucson. I didn't get to Tucson. Marana. Anyway, these are people who lived in Florida my whole life, and I have known since, birth. So they're not like blood relatives, but they're as close as family as I have. And went down to see their new, house and their new life and the whole thing. They are Florida people that moved to the desert. And we went out. They had like one of those Polaris 4-seaters, and we went on the trails, and we started to, drive, and I got to drive on the trails, and I learned about things called jumping cactus or jumping cacti. And they jumped all over me, and I had to pluck them out. And you don't have a glove, and you need a comb. Does anybody else know about this stuff? Yeah, man, it was horrible. And I learned I had so many wonderful life experiences in one afternoon. And then I go to the airport, and I fly out 11:59 on Monday night, got home Tuesday morning, and we pushed the Nitro show back to Wednesday. And here we are. It's already Friday. Friday, baby. And we have no Ignition show, and we've got no nothing. And I'm still in the dark about a lot of stuff, but getting together to do the show. And all you Patreons out there, we're going to be working on something special for you over the next couple of weeks, though, man. It's just mad thrash to the Gator Nationals. Honestly, mad thrash. There's no one out there that's got more on the plate, except for, like, everybody on the Nitro categories, Pro Stock categories. Blazing a trail. I have now blazed a trail. Like, there were all these trails, and we're driving up a mountain and down a mountain and looking at cacti and checking out, ground squirrels and seeing all this interesting stuff. There might have been a bobcat or a mountain lion. It was really interesting, really fun. And then we're going on this trail, and we're trying to get back to where we need to go, and I'm blasting through the trails on this Polaris, and I'm just loving it. And I should say all-terrain vehicle because, or UTV, because Polaris is not a sponsor, but whatever. That's what it is. My friend has a Polaris. And we're going, and then we're going, and then we're going. Where's the trail? We lost the trail. We lost it. And now I'm, and you guys can laugh at me as much as you want, because it is true. I live in suburbia in South Florida. It's a major metropolitan area. It's a giant megalopolis of suburbia. City of densely populated people, and then, suburbs, and then more densely populated people, and then suburbs, just neighborhoods, nonstop, from the beach to the Everglades, from the tip of Florida all the way up to north of West Palm. It's pretty much what it is, just continuous neighborhoods for the most part. And so there are people that over my life, they would go like mudding. We're going to go mudding out in the Everglades, and they get their mud truck, and they go out there, and they're mudding in a big mud pit, and I was never into that. I'm sure it's fun. Never into that. The thing that was most similar to what I had done here, going, trail riding in a UTV, was going on an airboat in the Everglades, or going out on a boat in the ocean. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how is going out on a boat in the ocean anything like trail riding on a Polaris? And I can tell you that, studying the terrain so that you hit it properly, so that you can keep going, is exactly what you have to do when driving a boat in the ocean. The waves and the water and the way it's going and the way it's moving, and how are you going to hit it? Very similar deal. The undulations of the trails and the ruts and the ups and the downs and the whoops. How am I going to hit them? How am I going to work the throttle to keep going as best as I can? I felt a big similarity to that, which was cool. The mudding thing, never done it. It's too dirty. It's not my style. As a drag racer, we try to keep our stuff clean, going out into the mud. Although I have heard it is the most fun you can have. And I'm not against it. Just never have done it. Ever have done it. And you may not understand, but when the beach is 10 minutes away, that tends to be the default more often than not. It just is. It just sucks you in over there. It's like the gravity of the beach. But we're going down a trail, and we're trying to get back, and it's at the end of a day. We'd gone 24 miles, and I was tired, physically and mentally, after a weekend of freezing out there in Phoenix and being rained on, and the pre-race ceremonies was, a bit of a catastrophe, but I'll tell you about that. That's for Patreons only. I'll explain to you guys what went down. But anyway, now the trail's gone. We've lost the trail. There are terms that I had heard all my life. We've lost the trail. But I didn't really know what they meant. I hadn't experienced them. And I experienced it. I've lost the trail. And so what did we do? We stopped and we kind of looked around, and then we found out where we needed to go. And what did we do? We blazed a trail. I'm a trailblazer. And we went through a jumping cactus, and we went over this other one, and around this rut, and around this tree, and then bust out, and we're back on a road or something. We blazed a trail. I am a trailblazer. And it was, it was a lot of fun. Like, I had a great time. Like, I can totally relate to the desert dwellers now. Now, don't get me wrong. It was only 70 degrees. Doing this in 120? I don't think so. It just doesn't seem reasonable. 120. But at 70, it was perfect. Perfect. Oh, look who's calling in. Studio, who's out there on the WFO line?
It is I, Great Gio in Miami.
Great Giovanni in Miami. I was just telling I was a trailblazer story from Phoenix that you don't even know about. It's one of the greatest stories ever told. You'll have to listen. But what's up, Giovanni? Now, how long do you have?
Well, I have until stuff happens and I have to go. I got some time.
Okay. Well, we're not going to go forever and ever and ever. We talked about Brad K. Brad K. 6, Kyle.
I don't expect it to be a 2-hour extravaganza, but, I've got some leeway.
We're doing the all-day marathon broadcast is what we're doing. Marathon.
Exactly.
All right, so talked about Brad K. Brad K. winning sick. Not a lot of passing up front. A lot of passing in the back. Interesting rules package. Whatever. First race. It's a write-off. You got to wait till people figure it out a little bit and get better. Is it going to be the cure-all answer? I don't know. But we're definitely going to see the racers rise to the top that like this style of racing with the 550-some-odd horsepower. And we're moving on to Vegas.
I'm sure.
Did Bob Smith pick a winner, or did Tommy Noodles pick a winner?
We need a larger sample size, really, to make any kind of educated,
Yes.
And response.
Did Bob Smith pick the winner, or did Tommy Noodles pick the winner?
Bob Smith picked Brad K.
Okay, because Tommy Noodles appeared to pick first, and that confused me. And yes, everybody, Tommy Noodles is back. Tommy Noodles is picking with us once again. At least he did this week.
Well, yeah, I think I made reference to that. What's the matter? You didn't hear that great picks extravaganza that went on last week?
I did. I'm thrilled that you finally took a little initiative. Like, what happened? What inspired that? Gio decided to do something for the show totally on his own, without any pressure.
I felt guilty that everyone made their picks, even though no one made their calls. I was like, the fans, they're just not going to believe it when we pick another winner back-to-back weeks, and no show got up on the air. There was just no, me. I like to have it out there, to put it out there. I like to be able to say, look, this is what we picked, and we were right or we were wrong.
Yeah, I know you. Like, that's you. Listen, I'm thrilled that you did it.
That's me.
I'm thrilled.
I'm accountable.
Yeah, sure. I'm thrilled you did it. I wonder why it took this long. That is an excellent job. You're not going to have to do it this week because we did it on the show. But the idea that you're expecting me while I'm in Phoenix working all day in a different time zone to put something together is impossible. And you realized it, and you took it upon yourself and made it so for the audience. That was excellent. We are all happy.
Hey, I'm striving to be a better Gio in 2019.
Well, good. And you strove in 2018 and 2017 and 2016. Let's try to get a different result here.
I might not have been trying so hard.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so let's keep on going. I got the picks. I talked about me being a trailblazer. I celebrated Friday. You want to get in on the Friday celebration? I know there's Saturday and Sunday listeners that aren't going to be quite as happy about it, but Everybody. It's Friday. Gio, it's Friday. You're off. You're done. You got happy hour. You're going to be like out of there soon.
I don't know about all that. I don't know that there's going to be a chance of early departure right now is about 35%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be early departure this Friday.
Okay. Well,
I see there's a 1:30 on the schedule, and it all depends on how that goes.
Copy. I dig.
But there's usually nothing on the Friday schedule, and that's why I'm uncertain if there will be early departure. But either way, it's Friday, and there's no one here right now, and so we'll celebrate.
Gio's running around with a lampshade on his head. I want this to be something that everybody can enjoy at the end of their work cycle, whatever the work cycle is. Everybody knows my work cycle is continuous. There is no end to the work cycle at any point. There is no point, and this is something that is actually crushing my soul a little bit, which is why I want to celebrate for everybody else, where I feel like my work is done and I can disconnect. Like I have lost that, and it's actually causing me major strife in my existence. But now I'm just kind of offloading onto everybody. But I want everybody to have a moment where they can say, and enjoy the weekend, and hopefully they will use this show as that. So celebrate, everybody. Good times come on. Oh, man.
A celebration.
That is an office line. They're calling now. That's it. He's got to go. Thanks, Gio.
No, that's not for me.
Oh, boy.
Hold on.
So while Gio is off answering phone lines and doing his deal, I am going to give you the results of the WFO Fantasy League from this following week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The weekly winner getting on the board with 339 points. It was actually a tie between, what? 4 teams? Yeah, it was 4 teams. And the new point system is a little different. And so what was once a great score may not be a great score anymore. I really believe there's more points available since now stage points are being, counted and all of that. But Mr. Fantasy NASCAR, Team 12, which is formerly Team 14, Mike, Royal Flush Racing, and Driving Hard all tied with 339 points for the weekly win. Low Blinker Fluid was second with 337. Jambalaya Racing 334. Southern Racer X also 334. Double O Dead On 324. Dirty Hippies 319. Sacramento Racing Fan 315. Patrick the Webmaster 315. Ray Indy, R-A-E Indy 313. Rich and Saugus 308. Spider Monkey Gary, 307, Giovanni, 306. And there you have it. Other racers of note, WFO Joe, something down in the 2s. Not great. Not great, but still not terrible. I'm in the mix. Overall standings. Team 12 Mike has taken the lead early on, a past champion. His name is right up there on the trophy. Double O Dead On is second, 5 points back with 600. Mike has 605. Royal Flush Racing, 598, 7 points back. Mr. Fantasy NASCAR, 598, 7 points back. Keen Racing, 15 points back in fifth, tied with El Jefe, 15 points back. Spider Monkey Racing, Gary Corbett, he is the Grammy Award winner, who has also done great job in his iRacing deal. He did not give us a report because we did not do a show, but he was in his super iRacing championship. And has actually started to win a bunch of races, and he's going on to be an iRacing champion. 7th overall, trying to become a Fantasy League champion. Southern Racer X is 8th. Rich and Saugus 9th, tied with Driving Hard and Derail 100, all 29 points back. So the top 10, for the most part, is close to each other with 29 points separating. Other teams of interest. 12th, I can see, are Almirola's. Bug Barn 14th. Team Gray 15th. What is going on here? Oh, I can tell you. I only have it showing 25 entries. It's freaking me out, right? The new drivergroupgame.com website gives you a lot of options, and I like it. It's just, selecting the options every time is kind of interesting. So Team Gray, 15th. Good job, Gray. 20th, Gio in Miami. Dirty Hippies, 24th. Jambalaya Racing, 25th. 30th, Fat Tire, Craig and Newhall, behind Fat Tire, 22. Just ahead of Millerman 2, Brian. What's up, Millerman? Who and I am tied with Millerman. 83 points back in 31st. We're right in the mix, Millerman. We're right in the mix. Got to have a good week. Moneyman, who is somewhere down in Miami, 37th. 42nd is SRX2 Racing. Let's see. 47th, Mrs. Dirty Hippies, just ahead of Los Chingones, and Buffalo Butt Breath Racing. I believe that is Miss Little O. How about some confirmation, Lo? Did not see Lo at the races. Probably a good move for Lo if he did not come out because it was cold and kind of rainy and kind of questionable. But a lot of people did come out Saturday and Sunday. It was really good. Let's see. Stubo, 54th. You guys running the Gator Nationals? What's up with that? Let's see.
I'm back.
60th, Fleet Tree. We were able to eavesdrop on your whole conversation. I can't believe.
No, not the whole thing. I put you guys on mute. I know you didn't hear me dealing with that crap.
But we did hear you do your, answer the phone protocol.
Well, I mean, I don't just answer the phone and say Gio.
Yeah, exactly. Well, don't worry. Well, it was. You're like, hey, what do you want? What do you want?
Well, the funny thing is that I know who it was, and it's not my client, and it's a client that'll talk their ears off. And so I was starting to laugh, mocking my coworker who was going to have to deal with it. And so she kind of screamed and asked me to handle it so she wouldn't have to deal with them for the next hour and a half. And so I did her the favor. But did you see how long it took me to get rid of this person? And I don't even have to deal with their case.
Yes. Now we're doing fantasy stuff. We've already given your fantasy thing. And I got to tell you, Gio, I'm really surprised that we have got a whole bunch of people in our league like Bob Smith and Brian Spink and NHRA Nut and Growl Guy and Go Fast Turn Left, who all have 0 points. What happened with these guys?
And I'm telling you, I think that they got lost in translation. Maybe they haven't made it over. Maybe they're doing something somewhere else. I don't think they quit.
Or they're not listening to the show.
I could always be.
That's what it is. Well, that's the deal. What can I say? They're not listening to the show. You got to listen.
Louisiana on the internet, so out on Twitter.
You're in a fantasy league that is connected to a podcast. You've known for 10 years that they talk about it on the podcast. We've tweeted out hundreds of times, listen to the podcast, and we gave very specific instructions, so much so that a lot of people made it over. I think these are people that were connected to last year's league who just decided that Junior 2448 didn't make it over. Oh, well, that's it.
I'm telling you, I got a feeling we might have to just quickly do a quick go over or something. And I did read somewhere where Mr. Fantasy said that if you had that he would switch over the stuff if you were doing it incorrectly, or if I'm not 100% sure exactly.
Well, maybe these people are in the driver group game.
I haven't been able to fully, understand this new site either. I haven't fully been able to integrate into it. It seems a little easier to change the drivers, but some of the stuff like finding things is still a little complex.
Well, how much time have you invested?
Oh, hours.
No, you haven't. You haven't even looked at it, and that's the problem with everybody. And I'm not blaming anybody. Nobody has any time to do any nonsense. You want to hear something? I'm going to break it down for you. I do a half-hour workout in the mornings, and that's why I'm losing weight so rapidly. It's melting off, and I'm in such great shape. But I put on the NASCAR race, and I'm watching on occasional fast forward, right? And I'm doing my thing. One lap. I'm watching one lap. It says 65 laps to go, right? 65 laps to go. So I'm doing my whatever it is, jumping jacks or this and that or squats or whatever. And it feels like it's been forever, man. I'm going. And I'm breathing heavy and I'm watching and I'm looking up and down and I'm thinking, I look back at the screen and it says, you know what it says? 65 laps to go. And I don't know what's going on, whether time is moving slow or time is moving fast or what the story is, but I understand that people don't have 1 second to, focus in on anything. Figure this out. What's the story? Here's what I think. I think a lot of these people are probably in the driver group game league. You know what I mean? And they're
right.
Because once you sign up for this deal, you are automatically in the overall giant league, like the Yahoo League. Your ranking is 4,180, right? But to have...
Yes.
And so they just thought, hey, I'm in the league. But you're not in the league. You didn't join the WFO only league. You failed. Right.
Well, what they have to do is they can still join it, I believe. If they have been setting a team, Mr. Fantasy will be able to, move that information over, or whoever the commissioner is.
But they're not listening to the show, so they cannot possibly know this. We would have to go in there, and we would have to search their team names, and we would have to find them, and we would have to do all of that.
I'm not going through all that.
Exactly.
I love you guys.
No, I know. I would totally do it if there was a minute, if there was a second, but there's not. There's not 1 second to spare. So let's move on. That's it. That's part of it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we were on our way to the Daytona 500, and the trailer got 10 flat tires, and we crashed into a ditch. You don't make the Daytona 500. That's it. Weren't able to navigate. The WFO League will be here next year.
All right.
Right?
Did you read everyone? Did you see?
Yeah, I saw you.
Who's winning?
Yep. Everybody's up to speed. And those.
I mean, I could hear you, but I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying because I was on the phone.
Well, I was just giving the results. And those are the Fantasy League results for last week out there in Atlanta.
So you haven't gotten to overall standings yet.
No, I just did the overall standings. The overall standings have been done. Yeah, Team 12, Double O Dead On, Royal Flush.
Did you see the Gray? He's top 15.
I saw him. And you were trying to prevent the kid from playing this year.
Yeah, when he gets to well, I didn't want to have to deal with it. He doesn't like the new page. He doesn't really know how to navigate it either.
Nobody does. Well, this is an exercise in fast learning. Like, who's the fastest learner out there?
If someone has lots of spare time on their hands, it's that kid.
Well, yeah, but you don't want him spending the time on the internet.
No, obviously not.
Crotchkeying around with some fantasy league thing. Definitely not. And so there it is. There's the Fantasy League results. We're just seconds away from getting into the picks, but right now it is time for the Haas F1 report here on WFO. The folks at Haas F1 are tearing up the test track and have had a really strong preseason test session. And it is pretty exciting what has gone on with Haas. And Roman Grosjean, has been in the top 10 and top 5 in several cases, which has been really interesting.
Both cars, actually, even the day that Grosjean wasn't able to run, Magnussen was up there running top 5, top 10. They've had a good couple of practices. I believe they were in Barcelona this past week. And if you're on Twitter, I'm sure you'd see very easy to follow along with the Haas F1 report from Barcelona testing.
Exactly. Gio is like retweeting everything. He's just retweeting and tweeting and tweeting and tweeting and tweeting. It was a tweet storm by Giovanni and Gio in Miami, at Gio in Miami, the tweet storm about, trying to get the job done. Now, the Ferraris are looking really good.
Yes, they are actually. But I saw that Vettel crashed the other day, and there was like a big emergency trying to figure out what happened to his car.
Oh, really? Well,
that was yesterday, I believe. Yeah.
Well, he's at the top of the scoring pile on the stuff I'm looking at right now. Vettel, Bottas.
Yeah, no, that's definitely. I will say, I believe that some of these, like the Mercedes, them not having any kind of fast speed, I gotta wonder what they're, whether they're sandbagging or what they're doing.
Well, no, Bottas was up there at the top for a while. And, there's definitely sandbagging going on, working on certain aspects of the cars. But remember, this is a whole new rules package. And so when there is a whole new rules package, everything changes and somebody hits it. Maybe Ferrari is the one to do it. Wouldn't that be nice?
Could be.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, it would be nice. I mean, it does appear that the Ferraris have been the fastest right now, so.
But then again, there's sandbagging and then there's lowering expectations. Matteo Binotto, who is the new Ferrari head, says it would be completely wrong to assume Ferrari is ahead of Mercedes, but is happy Lewis Hamilton believes Mercedes could be a half second behind its Formula One rival. Says Scott Mitchell from motorsport.com, which is kind of cool. Hamilton says that Ferrari's 5/10 ahead of Mercedes, which is a lie. It's all lies. They're all
and not just
politicking.
that. You know what else? That's Hamilton just, like psyching himself up.
Stirring the pot.
We just heard the Patriots go on this whole tangent about how no one believes in us and no one thinks we can do it.
Wait a second.
Dude,
can you
that's
stop?
what you guys need to motivate yourselves, and that's fine. But you're like defending, you've won 18 championships
but can you
and
stop?
4 in a row.
Please. Don't you know that you're really no longer are the Patriots supposed to be utilized as a positive example of anything anymore? The only story, in the city of Boston as well, the only story that can be referenced and referred to referencing the Patriots or the city of Boston, is Robert Kraft at the Orchids of Asia place here in Florida. That is now the headline for anything. Yes. Don't skip over the most recent story to some old news from like a long time ago where nobody even remembers when it was or what happened. The only thing that anybody wants to know about with the Patriots is Robert Kraft at Orchids of Asia. Okay? So we haven't spoken about that on the Ignition Show yet. That was just a big breaking news. That's, I guess, SportsCollision.
Well, yeah, that broke over the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, what about that?
We definitely hadn't done a show since that news broke.
Then that's got to get in there. And this is kind of a thing. It's like there's been no prep for this program, folks. No prep, man. This is everybody loves no prep racing. This is no prep radio or no prep podcast. That could be the name of it. WFO Radio presents No Prep. And here we are. just puking it out. But when that one came down, how funny was that?
Yeah, it is. It's very funny, but in a way, I almost don't know how to feel. Bob Kraft's an old guy. He's not married.
Everybody says the same thing. Here's the same thing that everybody's saying. Okay, this is what nobody understands. And, but poor people or even middle-class people or even people who are slightly well-off do not understand the uber wealthy. Like, you might think you do, but you don't. And the people who say, like, oh, those rich people, they've already got enough money. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? You don't understand that. That mindset is exactly why, not the reason why they've been able to make billions of dollars. It's because they never have enough money. Like, they're driven. Well, at the same time, people say, like, well, why doesn't he just, like, pay to have something private, that nobody knows about? You know what I mean? Like some sort of...
that part, I get it. I understand that part. I don't have any issues with that.
But the reason is probably then someone's got leverage on him.
Steakhouse. No, right. No, not even that. Look, I like to go to a fancy steakhouse, but sometimes I'll pop into like In-N-Out Burger too, So
just so I understand, in this analogy, Orchids of Asia is the In-N-Out Burger?
Right, it's like fast food, you're just going in there, it's a quickie kind of thing.
It's just going to pop in there.
Where?
Yeah, hey, look at that. Hey, look at that spot. But why do you...
it's just a quick old in and out.
What am I in the mood for right now? Huh? In and out.
Right.
Look at that. Let's swing by.
So sometimes you want to eat fast food, and sometimes you go to a nicer sit-down restaurant.
Oh,
and so I get
okay,
that.
well then...
I have no... I'm not one of those that says, yeah, why doesn't he just stay home and order in? Well, I get it. Sometimes you want to order in, and sometimes when you're driving down the street, you just, oh, look, I crave a burger. Let me pull in some Mickey D's.
Oh, yeah, and then there's a finger in the burger because it's crappy food, and you get punished for making such a horrible decision because you have got like an iron brick in your stomach.
Or you end up, with Montezuma's Revenge in the bathroom.
And that is this, to continue the analogy, that is exactly what happened here, except there seems to have been like a list of, bigs that go to this place. Like, this place is not just some random place. Like, there's a lot of people that go here. There's some other thing going on.
I don't know. I guess that is yet to be determined, but they did make it seem like it was a big to do, and I don't know. I don't see this turning out to be like a Heidi Fleiss kind of thing at the Orchids of Asia massage.
Well, it's worse. It's much worse. It's much worse than the Heidi Fleiss thing, because the Heidi Fleiss thing, from what I understand, everybody there was consenting and high end. These people, from what I understand so far, and please update me if the information that I have is incorrect, but this might be like human trafficking, slavery kind of thing.
Yeah, again, I don't know about all that. Well, I don't want to, downplay any kind of illegal trafficking of humans and sex trafficking and whatever that does go on.
I think you already did.
I think when you go into the massage parlor, those girls that are working there, it's kind of, I'm not gonna go out on a limb and just assume that they were trafficking in slavery or some kind of sexual slavery. I think that the people that work at the massage parlor are probably kind of like the people that work at the Center of the Performing Arts. The girls that work there, they know what they're doing. They're not being forced to do this.
Yeah,
they
disagree,
do it as a means to an end.
No, I disagree.
Now, I'm not saying that what you're talking about doesn't exist.
No, it exists. I think it exists a lot more than you're giving it credit
place.
for.
I don't think that that's what's going on at the local mall. because you can't, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think you're wrong because
that's just my opinion.
No, I know, but I think you're totally wrong, and we'll move on to a new subject before you drive us down into the ground. I was just trying to attack Robert Kraft for fun, and now for comedy's sake, and now it has gone to a dark and distant place. But even in the nail salons, man. Even in the nail salons, there's a whole thing. Like those girls that are in the nail salons, you would think, they're just working. And that's not true, man. They're not true. They don't have a place to live. They are not on the books.
Okay,
they are
you
told
think
by
that they were brought to this country against their will, not knowing that they were just going to come here to work and make money?
I don't think they're free to leave to go do their own
saying.
thing. I think if they complain about their work conditions, if they complain about their living conditions, that they'll immediately be sent back or ratted out. Yeah. That's the reports that I've seen and understand. Yeah, that's the biz. And that it is also the true with these parlors that you're discussing, that these people are here and they're in the country and there maybe many of them are not supposed to be exactly. And the second that they cry wolf about anything, they get sent back or they have some sort of problem.
My point, that I think they came here knowing that they were going to be working and what they were going to be doing.
But they can't leave. They have nowhere to live, man. They're live in these spots and live in
I'm
racks.
not saying it's a good situation, but if you did,
No, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I think so. It's a good idea.
Before people realize how insensitive and horrible person I really am.
Well, I believe it might be a little too late. For the long-time listeners. Now, listen, your opinion represents the opinions of many. Like, hey, if you're enslaved by someone, that's your own fault. Like, there are people that believe that, and maybe, I don't know.
I'm not saying
that's
it's their
kind of what
fault.
you're saying a little bit.
Like exactly what I'm saying.
They know what they're getting into.
Don't put words in my mouth. Okay?
I feel like that's what I heard.
Saying.
Look, the good news is that we have successfully forgotten all about the Super Bowl and World Series victory that Boston has completed. And now
I didn't even think about that anymore as the new baseball season goes on.
No.
That was so 2018.
So old
We're in
news.
2019. It's a new year, a new season.
The only thing that anybody is talking about as related to Boston is Robert Kraft and the details to this case. The ins, the outs, the ups, the downs, and what psychologically is going on with a guy who has been so successful to sneak into a back alley, Jupiter, Florida, or wherever it is.
No, it's not a back alley. It's a strip mall. Come on. Don't make
Strip mall in Jupiter, Florida, man, that's as back alley as it gets. Come on.
All right.
Seedy.
All right.
Seedy. Right? Seedy. And, a lot of people like seedy.
But I will say, I don't like the way that the headlines portrayed it as Robert Kraft soliciting prostitution. I got to be honest with you. My first thought was like, man, is he that dumb that he asked one of those girls on Biscayne Boulevard,
But there aren't even that rarely, that doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't exist, but if you watch the HBO show The Deuce that I was telling everybody about, it was about the transition from street stuff to what we're describing now. You understand that business?
Yes.
Going from outdoors to indoors.
I just, my first thought was that he was asking for something, and it turned out to be that he was at the rub and tug.
You just wanted to say that. You're lucky it's the Friday.
To get it in the whole time.
You're lucky it's the Friday happy hour show, and I will allow it. Let's move on. Did we complete all our discussion, and is it time to make the picks? I went on a little bit about Brad Kay and the rules.
Reached completion right here.
Yes, exactly. Did you reach completion? And if so, let's get the picks and get on out of here so we can move on to the next one of a million tasks that need to be done. The WFO radio universe, though, probably pretty excited about this program right here. I know I am. I know I'm super excited. Did you have any?
It should be a Friday show.
Yeah, no, I know. Did you have any statements you wanted to make about Brad Kay, the race, the rules package, any of that before we move on?
Nah, you know what? I would have looked back earlier in the week, but I'm going out that windshield, looking headlong into Vegas. I hope Bob Smith has fun out there at the track, and just getting more information on the rules package and watching more of these races so we could really see how it goes. Because from what happens in one race, no matter what the package is, it's very difficult to really make a good assessment of it.
I agree.
Take me to the action.
All right, it's time for the WFO Radio Tailgate Party Picks Show on a Friday, a true Friday edition. We're going to make our picks for the Pennzoil 400. So far, we are 2 for 2 at the start of the season. Bob Smith is 2 for 2. Here are the odds for the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with co-Grand Marshals Leah Pritchett and Matt Hagan. And Matt Hagan is going to be on next week to give us his opinion of what's going on out there. What do you think they're going to think of Hagan there, Gio? He's a monster compared to a lot of these stock car guys.
Oh, my goodness.
You should pick him up.
Hagan, yeah, he's going to intimidate them all.
You should pick him up and bite like Vader, and their feet will be kicking as he's holding them above their head. You're part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Here are the odds for this Sunday's Pennzoil 400. The favorite at 4-1 is Kevin Harvick. At 6-1, you got Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, and Kyle Larson. At 8-1, you got Joey Logano. 10-1, you got Ryan Blaney. And those are the drivers that are available for our favorite pick. That's it. We make 2 picks a week here on this show. And I should be making a big hype about how we're the longest-running Vegas picks against the odds NASCAR show, and been doing it for like 15 years, except now, if you're in certain parts of the country, you can actually legally wager on these races. And that is a marked difference from last year. This is something that if you're in which state? Certainly New Jersey, right?
Yes, West Virginia, I believe. All over. Dover.
Delaware. So there are places in the state of Nevada. There are applications you can download. You don't have to necessarily go into a sports book in a casino. So the Vegas Picks segment of the show, as much as we've gotten to a bit of a struggle of a start this year, this is our most relevant season because we have been doing this and we have had great results over the years, and we're all going to put a whole lot into it. We make 2 picks a week, a favorite and a dark horse. Here come the dark horses. 18-1, Chase Elliott. 20-1, Denny Hamlin, Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola. 22-1, you've got Jimmy Johnson, Eric Jones, and Kurt Busch. At 50-1, you got Daniel Suarez. At 60-1, you've got Paul Menard, Austin Dillon, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. At 75-1, you got Alex Bowman, Ryan Newman, and Lord Byron, William Byron. 75-1, you also got Matt DiBenedetto. At 125-1, you got Daniel Hemrick. At 250-1, you got Bubba Wallace. At 300-1, you got Ryan Preece. That might be worth something. Ryan Preece has been driving pretty well, right? Ty Dillon, 500-1. Chris Buescher, 500-1. Michael McDowell, David Reagan, 1,000-1. Matt Tifft, Ross Chastain, 2,000-1. Landon Castle, Corey LaJoy, Parker Kligerman, 3,000-1. Are you kidding me? Reed Sorensen, Joey Gase, BJ McLeod, and Cody Ware, 5,000-1.
Is that accurate? You think they made a mistake? No, I guess not.
It's the Vegas race.
Can't win it.
No, I know. You put $100 down on Reed Sorensen hoping for a rain out of some sort in the desert, and you take home, $500,000, right?
Yeah, that's why you only really have to put $10 and you'll take home 50 G's.
If I'm going to throw away money, man, I might as well go big.
Yeah, but no, and if you're by your rationale, you might as well throw away $10 on all those guys that are 1,000 to 1 or more. You'll throw away $100. It looks like there's 10 guys there.
Yeah.
And if something miraculously happens, you win at least anywhere from 10 to 50 G's.
The Chris Buescher at 500-1, he's won a race. He's run up front a lot. He finished in the top 10 a week ago. Like, why not? Yeah, man, Chris Buescher. Anyway, okay, so here's the order. Bob, Tom, Rich, Gio, I am going to allow you to go in front of me. I don't know what our results were a week ago. And I will go last. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I don't know where these guys got that order from either. Bob, I think everybody just started picking a la crazy. Tommy just decided that he was going to get in on the action.
I'm excited that Tommy is back picking again. We got to get him on the show. He did not pick a driver. People are wondering, Tommy didn't switch his driver. Just because that didn't happen, you need to know, for those of you who follow the show for a long time, that Tommy's curse is long since over. Tommy has been with Martin Truex Jr. for a long time now, and Martin Truex Jr. has won championships and countless races, and what was the Tommy Noodles curse is long since gone. If Tommy switches his driver ever again, he's crazy. He should just stay with Martin Truex Jr. Until the end. All right, the order is Bob, Tom, Rich, Gio, Joe. Bob picked first, and Bob picked as his favorite Brad Keselowski at 6-1. Bob, not going with the chalk. Excuse me, at 7-1, which is, wait, I keep looking at the wrong odds. Brad Keselowski at 6-1, and Brad K is not the favorite, so good for Bob. The dark horse for Bob Smith is Eric Almirola at 20-1. Judging by the way Eric led a bunch of laps early on at Atlanta, I think that is a solid pick. So Brad K, Eric Almirola, the picks for Bob Smith. Next up, Tommy Noodles. Tommy Noodles taking Kyle Larson as his favorite. Kyle Larson is also 6-1. Kyle Larson looked very strong out there in Atlanta. Too bad he's going to get the 300 horsepower bad motor from Hendrick Motorsports after calling them cheaters, but that is a different story.
That's right.
Yeah. Those guys that supply my engines, man, they're a bunch of cheaters. Whoa,
he
wait.
said that they don't cheat. No, they don't cheat at this time of the year so that they can get by inspection easier towards the end of the year.
Can I take that back? I would like to take that back. Can I take it back? You can try to take it back.
Of course. As soon as the captain calls, sorry, not the captain.
Mr. H.
As Chip calls.
Are you crazy? I would love to know that conversation. Like, did you think about that at all? Did you think about that at all?
Yeah, Chip called him up and he's like, Kyle, what exactly did you just say? I mean, it didn't occur to you for 1 second that we have an alliance with these guys?
Yeah, I know. It's like, that's why. So don't feel too bad about missaying things, even the race car
I think it's funny, though. He's like, that's when he's like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't mean them. I meant the other team.
Yes, that's not what I meant at all. I'm just going to be quiet. His dark horse pick is a 22-1 of Kurt Busch. And so Tommy Noodles takes Kyle Larson and Kurt Busch as his picks, 22-1. Kurt looked really good. Top three, finished strong, was okay. First race out. Rich York of the Dirty Hippies takes Martin Truex Jr., 6-1. Martin was running very well, had the best car late in the going. Joey Logano had a great car at Atlanta as well, just kept shooting himself in the foot on pit road over and over again and then had problems late, but he may factor in.
Well, it wasn't really his fault. It was the way that they were running. He kept getting
blocked in his pit.
Truex would come in, and then he had to go around Truex to get in. And then the guy, I think it was Byron or Bowman. It might have been Byron.
Bowman
was running at the end, and he would come in around to get in front of Joey, and they were all blocking each other off all day long, pretty much.
Yep, that is exactly what happened. Rich takes Martin Truex Jr. and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse is 60-1. I like that too because Stenhouse was in the mix a little bit, and as a former Xfinity champ, where the racing is this momentum-style racing, I think you are going to see a lot of those racers elevate under this style of racing that is more similar to what they cut their teeth on, at least in the Xfinity Series. Okay, Giovanni in Miami, time to make your picks. Go ahead.
Well, all right. We're headed to Vegas, and who doesn't like to hang out in Vegas? Bob Smith, I'm very envious. I hope you're having fun at the track right now. As we head to Vegas, I was having a hard time here. I really wanted to go with Kevin Harvick, but I decided to look a little further down since, I'm feeling lucky in Vegas. I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney to get a win at 10-1. As you've seen, the Penske cars are strong. Brad K ran well last week. Joey Logano and Blaney were all running up front top five for a good amount of that race. And so I think that they're a Ford. They got the new Mustang, and maybe, they got a little something going on this early in the year. So give me Blaney at 10-1.
Gio takes Ryan Blaney at 10-1. Now your dark horse.
For my dark horse, you know what? This guy's going to win a race, and I want to be there when he wins it. Daniel Suarez at 50-1.
All right. Daniel Suarez, 50-1.
As you know, when guys go over there to Stewart Haas, they win races, and so give me Suarez to win early on in the season in the new Stewart Haas car.
No, I like that too. All the same analysis I gave moments ago about the Ricky Stenhouse. Suarez, a recent Xfinity champion with recent rules like this. I agree. Okay, and now I get to pick. This is kind of an interesting scenario because I was thinking about going with Joey Logano, but you guys have all left Kevin Harvick, the chalk, the 4-1 favorite, fall all the way to me picking fifth. I'm going to take Kevin Harvick because one of us has got to pick the chalk, right?
Yeah.
Give me Kevin Harvick, of course, at 4-1, although I really feel like Joy is going to look pretty good as well And the Penske guys have obviously got something going on. Now the dark horses. And this is interesting because I'm going last, and I have always said if I go last and have the opportunity to take Jimmy Johnson as a dark horse, I'm going to do it. And so I'm going to do it. Even though Jimmy Johnson, everything that I've been saying about certain racers in the Xfinity Series doing this low horsepower momentum style racing, that's not Jimmy Johnson's jam. Jimmy Johnson is used to the off-road trucks and horsepower and putting the power to the ground and throttle control racing. That's why he has been so great over all of these years, and that is not this. This is something different. So can he adapt his style? I think he can. He's Jimmy Johnson at 22-1. I'm going last. I get to take him as a dark horse and 22-1. He is Jimmy Johnson. I will take Jimmy Johnson at 22-1. So to recap, Joe takes Kevin Harvick at 4-1 and Jimmy Johnson at 22-1. Giovanni takes Ryan Blaney at 10-1 and Daniel Suarez at 50-1. Rich York takes Martin Truex Jr. at 6-1 and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 60-1. Tommy Noodles takes Kyle Larson at 6-1 and Kurt Busch at 22-1. And Bob Smith takes Brad Keselowski at 6-1 and Eric Almirola at 20-1. And those are the picks for the Pennzoil 400 NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series race from Vegas, baby. Vegas.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
There you go, a real picks show. First one of 2019. Pretty cool.
Whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean a real pick show?
A real picks show. Unlike that, you know.
I understand. Like incorporated within the show and everything. I get it.
And we're both on, and we're both talking, and we're both bantering back and forth. I was thrilled that you did something last week. It generated some listens. It got the other shows some listens. That's what matters most. So good job. Good job. Any final thoughts? Anything we need to throw out there? I mentioned early on, Brad Keselowski is now the winningest driver in Penske history, which I think is amazing. We've discussed that we need a larger sample size for this rules package. So let's just see what's up. Kyle Busch becomes the winningest driver in the Cup Series, the Truck Series history, excuse me. Anything you want to throw out there before we wrap up this happy hour show?
And not in NASCAR world. I before we get going and wrap up the happy hour, I want to throw a little Sports Collision world out there.
Do it.
Just want to say, and I know everybody saw this because it's been everywhere. It was, as someone who lives down here in South Florida, it was great to see Dwayne Wade go take us back in that way back machine and go back with a little vintage D. Wade magic and hit that great winning shot against Golden State the other night. And I know he's doing his farewell tour, but it was, it was just great. I was actually watching the game. I had it on, and so I was lucky enough to see that he made that three-pointer when we were down by 4, and then Durant misses one of the baskets when they fouled him, and which gave us the opportunity to be down by 2, and D. Wade comes up with that huge three-pointer off the top of the glass. Just lucky shot.
Lucky shot. He lost. He even didn't have a handle on it. It was just a total prayer.
It totally was, but sometimes, sometimes those go in, man. And whether you're a Heat fan or not, D. Wade has always been very classy. I think he's one of the classy superstars in the league. And on top of all that, it's that right there, is the reason why we watch sports in general. Those of us that like sports it's because of things like that happen.
Absolutely.
And it happens in all sports. We've seen it in football, miracle plays at the end, in basketball, and baseball, and in all sports. And that is really why people watch sports, when the unexpected happens.
Absolutely. No, I agree. It was great. A lot of fun. And then last night, the Heat, since we're dialed in on them, I turned it off when they were up like 20-something in the third, and they end up losing to the Rockets. Like, it's just like it is amazing how they can swing back and forth. All right, what about Bryce Harper? 13 years, $325 million. 13 years.
330.
330, okay. 330. Becoming the largest ever. 13 years, though. How old is this guy?
He's 26. So to be fair, yeah, it is a lot of years, but he is only 26, so it'll run through his probably age 38, season, or 39 maybe even. But
I don't know, man.
It's a lot of years.
It's a lot of years.
Look, It is. I'm actually a little surprised. I would have expected him to get a little bit more because Machado had the 10-300, so his is a bigger contract in terms of average annual value. So, but Bryce's is obviously more money but more years, so his average annual value is a little bit less. While these are astronomical numbers, let's not forget that over the last couple of years, baseball, Major League Baseball across the board has had record revenues. They've been on the forefront of all the digital technology, and they make a lot of money from the Major League Baseball app and from broadcasting games online and digitally. And so it's only right that the players share in this money. Now, while that is exorbitant amount of money, and you look at it and it just seems ridiculous, all things considered, when you put it in comparison to what other players got, the Giancarlo deal, which was $13,325, that was, almost 4 or 5 years ago now. And so the money hasn't exploded in proportion to the revenue that has exploded in baseball. And while these two guys did get $300 million each, and that's crazy money, there's a whole bunch of guys like that are unsigned and aren't making, I don't want to say any money, but they're unsigned. And so baseball, while these guys did get paid, they got to figure something out to get these guys signed quickly. I don't understand why in the other sports, free agents sign like 1 minute after midnight, and
well, you mentioned this. You mentioned this it's wins over replacement, right? Like, as great as they are,
the analytics
there's another strategy.
This has a lot to do with the analytic revolution. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people are suggesting, and maybe it's true, and maybe it's right, that we may have a baseball work stoppage in the future. And, typically, whenever that happens, most people go against the players. Like, it's the natural order for the average fan to side with the multi-billionaire owner against the labor and say, these guys are a bunch of millionaires.
Totally relate with the rich guy.
Right, exactly, because everybody does. But at the same time, in this case, if there is like a work stoppage, this would be the reason. Like, the pie has grown considerably, but the compensation has stayed the same.
And it's actually, with the exception of these guys that got paid, the compensation for the rest of the league, and not the super ultra, the way outlier star,
Right.
For the regular guy in the league, the compensation has actually gone down or remained stagnant.
Right. Because of
and so that, if there's a work stoppage, is that. And while it's a shame, because look, we should all be happy that these guys signed. And by the way, it's not every day that 26-year-old, top 10 players in the league, or top 15 at worst case scenario, if you want to put it that way, are available on the free agent market like that.
Oh,
Generally speaking, in baseball, the teams have control over these guys till they're in their late 20s. And that's what they're usually 28, 29, sometimes even 30 when they get to be free agents, because of the way that baseball gets to control them for the first 7 years of their career. But that doesn't really matter. You know what? I'm just happy that the guys got paid, that they're getting signed, and that they're going to play. These are top players in the league, and they should be signed right away. And there's so much money in all of these sports that there really shouldn't be any work stoppages anymore, because the reality is that they got to find a fair way to just share the money, because it's ridiculous money that's poured into all these sports. And especially now that the only thing that people really watch on live television is sporting events.
That's it.
Everything else, they watch DVR'd, or they, marathons.
Right, like performance TV on Motor Trend Network, for instance, 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning.
Well, that we watch live at 9 o'clock in the morning every Sunday morning.
8:30 a.m., and it is a big watch party.
Like I said.
Speaking of watching, I watched Uncle Drew last night. Have you seen it?
Oh, I have not watched this.
I highly recommend Uncle Drew. It is hysterical. It is funny. It is a comedy. If you like basketball at all, if you like the idea of street basketball, the trick shots and the fun stuff, if you like the idea of old guys beating young, more youthful guys, it's a very, very funny and cute movie. Like, there's a message at the end, and they tried really hard, and they did a good job. This is not The Godfather. It will not win an Academy Award. It is a basic, like, mostly improv movie, in fact. And to me, it reminds me of like Cannonball Run. You know what I mean? Like, you know, a lot of just funny dialogue and little lighthearted stuff. And of course, Kyrie's got the Uncle Drew outfit on, and Shaq is in it. And it's really funny. So I recommend that it is funny. Uncle Drew, watch it.
So you mean to tell me they didn't win the Academy Award the other night for best makeup and stuff like that?
No, it did not. Because the makeup is good, but it's not great. Like, you know, come on. You know that these guys are old.
No,
I
got to say, I know exactly what the Uncle Drew premise is, and I remember the commercials, and I thought that the whole thing was really cool, like from the first time they did it, where, you know, they dressed him up as the old man, and he goes to play at like Rucker Park or whatever.
Yeah.
But I have not seen the movie, and while I do, I can see humor in it. I just don't know, man, did they really find, 90 minutes of stuff to keep you entertained that long?
Yes. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. They did. They absolutely
did. Based on
did.
the Castello review, I might have to check it out.
Let me tell you, I have no doubt that you will like it. First of all, it's pretty short. I don't even think it's 90 minutes, because at the end they were like stretching with like blooper reels, and you get to see behind the scenes just to give you some entertainment. But the long and short of it is they go back. A bunch of old guys reassemble, right, to go back to Rucker Park to right an old wrong. Right? That's basically what happened, Uncle Drew.
Okay.
And you know, there's they got this young guy who's kind of like the coach of the deal, and he's learning the life lessons from the old guys, and you know, in turn he teaches them a life lesson too. And there's all kinds of funny stuff, and Shaq is hysterical, and it's plenty good enough if you're into some light entertainment. And the basketball is unbelievable. Like, that's the thing, is like a lot of great you know, circus plays. A lot of fun. It's street ball. It's street ball.
Right.
And so it's great. You will watch. You will like it. I guarantee.
All right.
Guarantee. Well, all right. We got
out.
anything else? Anything else we need to talk about? Anything else that, you know, I'm sure there is. I'm
sure there is, but
well, let's let you go, and then I'll do my own point. I'll do my final point once you're gone.
Soap opera. We'll deal with it next week. And yeah, I guess I've got to get to work, man.
Well, actually, you do, because I'm going to send you this audio file real soon. You got to put it up for the listeners.
All right. Well, everyone, WFO, and we'll catch up on next week.
There you go. Later, Giovanni.
Bye.
Giovanni in Miami is out. He's out, and now it's just us, right? How about that whole no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You know, I bring up the Robert Kraft thing just because everybody, like the memes, forget the sadness of the story or the positivity of the story, depending on what you think. Like, whatever. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm thinking about is, wow, that's when meme generation goes into high gear. And all the ones with, like, Brady and the face on a woman's body and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, thanks to Robert Kraft. Okay, I want to talk about the Pro Stock Show here at the very end. Pro Stock Show. I also want to talk about NHRA Unfinished Business. The pairings will be announced on NHRA.com soon. The pairings for Unfinished Business, like who will run whom. And I can tell you that I am a part of the video. So when the video comes out, I would hope everybody would share it, like many, many times. It's a lot of fun. 2, Pro Stock Show. So I watched the first 20 minutes of it, and my DVR cut off, and I missed the rest of it. So then last night, I kind of get in front of the TV, and I see this show that I recorded because it's something that I wanted to see. And, there's the second half of the Pro Stock Show. Wow. First of all, it is so much better. Like, if, you know, I don't want to tell people they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? I don't want to do that. But you know what? There's a lot of people that just don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to telling a story and all of that. In a perfect world, like, I have kind of come to this conclusion, and it's been on my mind for a while. Every category should have its own show. Like, maybe the Nitro categories, Top Fuel and Funny Car, they can have their own shows. But most people are dumb. Okay, maybe not dumb. Most people are easily distracted and have a difficult time following along with things that they are new to and don't understand fully. How about that? So they're not dumb. They are just dealing with a challenging and new situation. So you've got someone who's flipping through the channels, right? They're just a channel flipper. Those people exist. I'm looking for poker. I'm looking for cheerleading. I'm looking for a cooking show. What is this? What are these cars? That guy. Okay, that guy. Now you got long ones and short ones and bodies and motorcycles and all this is drag racing. Who are these people and what are they? And you can spend 1 minute with this car and 2 seconds with this car and 3 seconds with a motorcycle and 5 minutes with a top fuel car. And who are all they? And it's just too much. It's overwhelming, man. It's overwhelming. It's just too much. The Pro Stock Show made it easy to digest. These are NHRA Pro Stock cars. They are cool because of these reasons. You're shifting gears. You're leaving with a clutch. You have to be extremely precise. The engine builders are the stars. They're doing something highly technical, and it is very, very challenging. And at the end of it all, the races are decided by thousandths of seconds because everything is so precise. And this is what they look like, and these are the stars. Don't muddy the water with anything else. Don't show them 330-mile-per-hour cars that, oh, these cars are faster and they have fire coming out of them. Oh, wow, why don't we see more of those? What's with these guys? I don't understand. You can take a Formula One Ferrari and put it on the starting line next to a Top Fuel dragster and launch the Top Fuel dragster, and the Formula One Ferrari will all of a sudden look silly and stupid. It would be like, oh, dude, that car's slow. That car's slow. Well, no, that's actually the most technical car on the planet, and it can go around corners. Yeah, but look at it. It just got whooped, right? It's slow. And that's what's been happening for 100 years, for 30 years. Every time Pro Stock comes up, people are like, oh, they're slow. So you get rid of the fast cars in the coverage. Get rid of them. Okay, no, these are the fast cars. Every car that comes up are the fast cars. Pro Mod, the fast cars. They are doing what they do. Pro Stock, they looked great on camera. You got to see Matt Hartford doing an engine thrash. You got to see Matt Hartford working on his own machine. When was the last time you saw that on anything, right? Like, there he is, the guy, the owner, the team owner, the driver, the mechanic, and he's got a tool, and he's doing something to his own machine. Have you ever seen Kyle Busch do that? Have you ever seen Kyle Larson do that on a TV show? No. Have you ever seen John Force do that? Have you ever seen any of these people, Steve Torrance, do that? And the answer is no. You saw it in Pro Stock. It was so much better to do it this way. So, wow, maybe Funny Car needs its own show. Maybe we need to do 3 separate shows, Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, in 3 straight hours, and just focus and let, people are complaining. Like, well, now they're going to know that the numbers are lower, and so they're going to get rid of Pro Stock. Is what's going to happen? Oh, my God, shut up, man. Hashtag punch in the face. Just watch it and enjoy. And if you watch and tell your friends to watch and you like it and really like it, write a letter, tweet it out, it won't go away. It won't go away. And if you don't, maybe it will. And, it is what it is. We can't control it. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can't control. But I think it did a great job. Brian Lone's doing a great job in the booth. Bruno Massel did a great job. Technical stuff, focusing in on the racers, focusing in on all this stuff. It was really good. I love the Pro Stock Show. Okay, Tuesday, not good. But that was the way the network time worked out. In a perfect world, it will happen following the Nitro category shows. And so you'll have a drag racing lead-in. Maybe in a perfect world, it should go first. Send the Pro Stock Show out first. And that way, people, they will definitely watch it. I don't know. But I wanted to throw that out there because if you heard my time at the tail end of the show, if you've been following along with me as I age, I am getting a little more cranky and a little less tolerant of people and their nonsense. And, I never want to call out people, and I never want to be a jerk on the show, and I never want to attack, because in podcast, everybody loves, they're here for a reason. But there are some people who deserve negativity in response. Hashtag punch in the face. Because, I saw some people in the sport that I really am, fond of and I respect greatly. And they're all saying the same thing. Like, wow, man, people are just really negative right now in the world. Like the negative energy has just overtaken so many. Why? And everybody's got their own reason, and I can't, say. Maybe they need to go to Orchids of Asia. I don't know. But, man, I'm still trying to be positive as best as I can, as often as I can. And I loved it. When you don't have any distractions, you can focus. So instead of constantly trying to explain, the burnouts, just full burnouts, man. Full burnouts. Burnout. Other side. Burnout. Backing up from the burnouts. Like, you can really digest what's going on. And it takes there's going to be more Mustangs out there. Now it takes a really diehard fan to say, okay, well, that is a Camaro body, and they're all the same thing. But for the casual the flipper, who cares? Who cares? Nobody cares. If you're just looking for entertainment. Look at these cars racing. Wouldn't it be great if there was an app that you could go on there and you could bet? I think this one's going to win. I think that one's going to win. So much opportunity, it's just whether or not they can realize it. Right? And that is a different story. Watch Uncle Drew. You will like it. It's funny. If you like basketball, street ball, and just like a cute story. Cute story about, life. Like a cute story about life lessons. Good stuff. Positive message. It was good. And cute. You get to see Shaq's butt if you're into that. Well, that's going to do it, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully the show is sufficient. The Patreons, you guys are out there. Hang tight, Patreons. Hang tight. We are in the middle of a chaotic period here. Getting ready for the Gator National start of the year. So much going on. We're trying to get some stuff done. Hang tight. We're going to get some good stuff going on in the coming weeks and months. Matt Hagan will be on NHRA Nitro, along with others as we start our Gator Nationals preview period. But big thanks to all you guys out there on WFO Universe. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Have yourself a great Friday. Hopefully this gets you right till 5 o'clock. WFO!
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
Yeah, welcome to the party.